Hey guys, it's Bonnie Gale, and today I want to just talk about fraud for a minute. So, the reason I want to talk about this is because fraud is even more rampant during the holiday seasons. So, I'm talking about things being charged on your credit cards, on your debit cards, money being taken out of your account, your bank account, fraudulent checks. These are all things that happen a lot more during the holidays. I mean, it's really a rampant thing that's going on all the time now, but during the holidays, it's even worse. So, one of the things I want to talk about is how you can protect yourself from fraud. The first thing is that you can make sure that you check all your accounts every day to see what has been being charged in your bank accounts, on your credit cards, you know. Um, and the reason that I say that is because a lot of times what happens is things are being charged and you don't know it. And so if your credit card company or your bank does not warn you that something's happening, then you could be losing money. So they are not required to return this money to you. Like I have a bank and it's a business bank, and if I use my debit card someplace and then fraud gets charged on that debit card, I don't get that money back. So it's really important that you make sure that you check your accounts and make sure that nothing is being charged on your cards that you are not actually approving, right? And the same thing that goes on in your bank account. So I've had fraud on my credit cards. I've had fraud in my bank account before, but I catch that fraud right away so that I know what's going on because I'm on top of things. If you're not on top of things, you could be losing thousands of dollars and not even know it, or hundreds of dollars and not even know it, because depending on how much money you have in your account, you don't know what's going on. Depending on how much open credit you have on your credit card, they could be charging things and you don't even know it. When they first start charging things, usually for fraud, it's usually a small amount. And they usually do it at a place and they kind of test things out. So you might see like a small charge at like a 7-Eleven or a gas station or a department store, but a small charge, not something big that flags you. Then all of a sudden, if they see that nothing, that went through and nothing happened, then they usually will try a few more charges to see what happens. And then if nobody's noticing, then they go crazy and start charging on your card. So that's basically kind of what ends up happening. You could get fraud because of using a terminal. So I want to share something with you. The terminals at the airport, like the little terminals where you could buy magazines and gum and candy and all of those kinds of things, those terminals, it's very easy for hackers to hack into those terminals and get access to your debit card or credit card information. So when I go to airports, I don't use my debit card or my credit card. I tend to use cash because that's a good way, because I know that that's a place where a lot of fraud happens. And all of a sudden you're traveling and now people are charging on your cards and you don't even know it. So it's good to use cash when you're in airports instead of using a debit card or a credit card. So that's another way to help avoid fraud. So the first thing is to check your accounts every day and make sure that the transactions that are hitting your cards and hitting your bank accounts are real, things that you actually charged or approved of charging, because sometimes you have things that come out automatically. Like you might sign up for an automatic deduction for your telephone bill every month or some kind of service. So just make sure it's all, and then don't use your credit cards or your debit cards at the airport in the freestanding terminals, because hackers get into those places very easily. So try and use cash when you're at the airport. So those are 2 tips to help you avoid fraud. Fraud is really rampant. Unfortunately, it happens every day and people are losing. Literally, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry annually, okay? And I know this because I have actually been interviewed by the FBI for fraud, because of something that happened in my bank account that I caught, and nobody ended up getting injured because I caught it. And this was about 4 years ago. So I know a lot about how this works. The other thing is I've also worked on an embezzlement case in my financial practice this year, and I know how people steal money. So it's a really, easy thing for people to do when you're not watching out what's going on in your accounts. So it's really important for you to do that. So I hope that this was a helpful tip or hint. If you have any questions about this, feel free to ask me in the comments and I will be happy to answer. So this is Bonnie Gale, Ms. Money Boss, and I hope everybody has an amazing Friday today.